Well, folks, joining me on this edition of Rockposer Chats is someone, well known to all of you out there. If I just say the almighty Black Star Riders, Thin Lizzy, I guess you've already know that my guest on this occasion is Mr. Ricky Warwick. Ricky, welcome to Rockposer Chats.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure. Well, new single out, You Don't Love Me, featuring, of course, Luke Morley of Thunder. We'll go straight to that. How did you hook up with Luke? How did that come about?
Oh, man. Luke and I, when the Almighty started way back in 88, 89, Thunder were starting out then as well. And when they put out Backstreet Symphony, I loved the production on that record.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And it was produced by Andy Taylor. And so we approached Andy about producing the Almighty's second album, which was Soul Destruction. So mutually, I kind of met Luke through just the scene going on in London at that point and gigging. So I've known Luke since 89, 1990. Been a great friend ever since. Luke actually ended up playing in Black Star Riders. I don't know if you know that. We went to South America to do some shows with Judas Priest and Alice in Chains 2 years ago. Damon Johnson had just left Black Star Riders, and Christian Martucci, who's now the guitar player in Black Star Riders, was still in Stone Sour at that point, still finishing some commitments. So we needed a guitar player, and Luke came down and filled in and became an honorary member of Black Star Riders and was amazing and did the shows. So I've just known Luke forever. We're great friends. And when I wrote the song and I was listening back to it, I just thought Luke would be killer ripping a guitar solo on this. And I talked to him, prior when we were in South America. I said, hey, I'm making a solo record. Would you be up for doing something on it? He's like, yeah, absolutely. So I called it in. He played, and it's wonderful.
I mean, at that time, as you said, the rock scene then in the late 80s, I was in London at the time. I mean, it was incredible time.
It was a good time. It was a really good time. There was so much going on. There's so many good venues, and there was a scene, there was a vibe, and something was happening. It was a good time to be living in London.
I think there was probably a rock club probably every night of the week, I guess, about that time.
I think there was. I think if you wanted to go to a rock club every night of the week, you probably could back then, no problem at all.
Well, obviously, this thing was coming off your first studio album in 5 years. Now, is this time of you releasing, is this because you've, obviously with the situation that's gone on this year, that the unmentionable, has that given you time to work on the album, or is it just sort of coincidental?
The pandemic's got nothing to do with it, Dan. Black Star Riders has got a lot, and Thin Lizzy. We've been very busy in the last few years with Black Star Riders, touring and putting out records. We put out another Steady Grace just last year. The album was written and completed in April. The album was recorded in 2019 and finished. So the album's been done for almost 2 years when it comes out. So I was always planning on putting the album out early 2021 and planning touring solo 2021. The pandemic hasn't changed the timeline or the thought or the planning behind that at all. We're kind of sticking to the plan. The only thing the pandemic really has decimated was Black Star Riders were supposed to be very busy this year with touring, and obviously that's not happened.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, what can you say about the situation? Obviously, it's affected all bands and artists, but also, as I've said to previous guests on here, I worry about venues. How are they going to cope?
Yeah.
Are bands going to have somewhere to play when they come back?
Exactly. It's so tough on everybody. I'm one of the lucky ones because, I'm a singer and I can play guitar, so I can do these online shows, which aren't ideal, but there's certainly something, and the better than nothing. And it's been good for my sanity to be able to do those, and obviously the reaction's been so positive to them. I'm very lucky in that regard. But people that work in the industry, road crew people, trucking companies, bus companies, the venues, like you said, they're the ones that are really, really hurting. And it's terrible. And again, I get so angry that the arts are so underappreciated and undervalued by the people in power. And where would any of us be throughout this pandemic without the arts? We'd be, it'd be horrendous, and include yourself in that. You're providing a service with the show that you do, Dan, that gives people solace and entertainment, and that should be funded and should be looked after and should be cherished. And we as a nation should be doing more to do that, in my opinion.
I probably badly
rant
quote.
over.
That's right, you rant away. There's plenty of people ranted on here, trust me, me included. I mean, I'm probably going to get a quote slightly wrong, but Winston Churchill was asked during the war.
That's right.
Why was he funding the arts instead of the war effort? He said, well, without the arts, what was there worth fighting for?
Exactly. What a great quote. What a great quote.
Yeah.
And I adhere to that very strongly,
I mean, fingers crossed, next year we get back to some sort of normality.
I think we will. I'm positive the vaccines are coming in, and I think that, people are starting to do the right thing, and I think we'll slowly get back. It'll take a while, but I think we'll get back there.
I'm hoping, and I guess maybe, because people, certainly like myself, are absolutely gagging for live music, that hopefully those venues and people who need support are going to get it, in the bucket load, because everyone's just going to absolutely go out because they're going to ram places because they just want to see live music.
I hope so, and I hope people can afford to go out, because obviously it's been tough on everybody financially. But I think that certainly when the curtain is raised and there's some sense of normality that it's safe to go back to venues, I think you're right, Don. I think people will be absolutely rabid for it. You know what I mean?
Right, complete change of tack. I was going to speak to you, obviously, with the new album. I better obviously mention a name, When Life Was Hard and Fast, which is out next February. Obviously, there's a bonus covers album coming out with it. Yeah. Looking at the list of tracks on there, I was intrigued by some of them because some of them are not quite what you expect. For instance, Britney Spears, Dead or Alive? I'm intrigued.
Guilty pleasures, my friend. Guilty pleasures. Bit of fun.
Sure.
That's all it is. It was a bit of fun, much as the songs on there like Rothschild by Maiden and Cocaine Blues by Johnny Cash, that artists that have influenced me and I'm huge fans of. I just had a bit of fun. I am a sucker for a really good, well-written classic pop song, and that's catchy, and certainly You Spin Me Round and Oops, I Did It Again fall into that category for me. They're well-crafted songs, and again, if you strip a song down to its basic elemental foundation, and you can play it on an acoustic, and it still sounds great, it's a great song. Yeah, I mean, the lyrics are a little cheesy, but a lot of great pop music has cheesy lyrics. I mean, it's just there's a time and a place for all of that stuff. It's fun. I just did it. It made me smile, and I thought it might make see this Irish tattooed Neanderthal playing these songs. Thought it might make people laugh.
It's not a guilty pleasure at all. As I always say, when people say to me, I say, well, there's two types of music. The music I like and the music I don't. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter genre, taste, style.
Yeah, I adhere to that 100%,
Obviously, next year, again, fingers crossed, you're coming back to the UK to tour.
Yeah.
Obviously with the Fighting Hearts and doing what I call a proper tour. Not 3 dates.
What? Sorry, finish. What were you going to say?
I would say you're doing the proper tour, not just 3 dates like like some acts do. You're actually gracing all of us.
Well, yeah, I love to play, and I really hope these shows go ahead. I'm fairly optimistic that by the end of April we hopefully will be in a better place, and that they can. I don't see the point of going on tour for a week. I don't see the point of doing 3 shows. I mean, I when I go on tour, I like to play. I like to be on tour, and I like to play as much as possible. I'm not a big fan of days off when I'm on the road, although it's good for the crew and everybody else that needs a rest. But I would play every night if I could get away with it. I just I love to play. I mean, to me, that's what it's about. That's why I'm still doing this after some 30 years. Is I love it.
Well, I'll certainly be there at the last date of the tour because you're at Call of the Wild Festival, which is one of my local festivals, which is...
cool.
Yeah, which will be the second year of the festival. It should have been this year, second year. I've got to say,
sure.
you'll absolutely love it. Fantastic group of people, great setup.
Lovely.
And, brilliant atmosphere, brilliant family atmosphere. You will absolutely love it.
Looking forward to that.
And also, talking of shows, Christmas show. Acoustic, as you're saying, you manage. Obviously, artists have managed to do stuff online. Which is, I've seen some great shows online. I've got to say, anything that supports the artist and also have a bit of fun, enjoy ourselves. Hey, why not?
Yeah. I mean, these are extreme times, so you do extreme measures. I mean, I I miss that thrill of rehearsing for a show, prepping for a show, and then playing in the buzz. So to be able to do that online and still treat it like a show, I still put the hours in rehearsing for it that I would.
Right.
And to welcome all those people into my living room is a very surreal experience, but it's fun. It's funny. I actually get quite nervous for them, and I don't know why, because I don't really suffer from nerves when I'm playing live. And for these online ones, for some reason, I get quite. I don't know if it's the technology or I just want everything to go. I don't know what it is about them. But this will be the 6th one I've done, Dan. I started doing them in May. I'm very aware of what it's like for people at the minute. I've kept the ticket price. I think it's $5, £4. It's a price of a pint, and I've not done one every week or every 2 weeks because I just feel it's too much. I'm asking a lot of people anyway, and I don't want to overburden with them. And
Sure.
I think once a month keeps it special, and it's something that you can look forward to and you can build up to it. And I'll be honest with you, it's been a godsend for me. It's really helped with my sanity and just giving me stuff to focus on. I've really enjoyed doing it.
Well, about folks, it's actually only a couple of days, really. December the 12th, folks. It's at 9 p.m. BST. That's 10 p.m. CET. So tickets, if you want to, and you should, is stageit.com. So get yourselves over there, get some tickets, and we can all just have, well, if nothing, a hell of a laugh. Because, hey, that's what this time of year is all about. And, have you already got a set list planned, or are you planning to maybe have a few requests thrown in?
It's an Almighty show, Dan. I'm doing songs from the Almighty. So this is the second one. What I've tried to do is every month I've tried to vary it. So one month will be an Almighty show, Black Star Riders show, covered version show, solo show. So the Almighty one was very popular. So I've decided for Christmas to do another show of Almighty tunes, which is interesting because a lot of the Almighty songs I wrote never intending to play them on an acoustic guitar. So it's been fun trying to work out versions that work on the acoustic guitar. It's been good and it works. I've got there. I'm pretty pleased with how they've come out, but it's been interesting.
Well, it must just be nice revisiting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that those songs still mean a lot to so many people and they're still relevant.
Yeah.
After so much time, it's lovely. It's great. I couldn't ask for any more than that,
You're talking of timing. Did you honestly think when you started out all those years ago, and it's just making both of us feel very old at this point, did you honestly think that you'd still be doing it now? That you would have made such a great career of it?
I couldn't really see past, you set goals and when you achieve those goals, you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way I've always focused on my life. I haven't really looked at it in chunks. It's like, okay, when you get a record deal, when you make an album, blah, blah, blah. And that's the way I kind of go. I try not to get too far ahead of myself.
Right.
I had no idea. I didn't know, getting a record deal was a huge achievement. Getting a record done was a huge achievement. Going on tour, those were all massive things that we dreamed of when we were kids. But you just keep moving the goalposts through life. You just keep pushing them further away from you. And I think that's what keeps you going. I mean, I'm ecstatic that, it's been over 30 years since I've been making music professionally. And I'm still as energized and passionate about it now as I ever was, which is, I think is amazing to me, that I still feel the same excitement.
For people who are going to carry on the rock torch when, you and I have probably put our feet up, got in a wheelchair or a Zimmer frame, what have you, are there any particular bands that you have seen or heard that you think, you know what, these guys are going to be big, or these are the guys to take things forward?
Oh, that's great. I mean, there's those damn Crows, who are starting to do really well. They're a fantastic band. The Howling Tides are another great young band. Anchor Lane up in Scotland, great band. So there's plenty out there.
Oh, there is.
There really is some good stuff coming through, and it's great to see it. I had the pleasure of working with Anchor Lane last year and writing a couple of songs with them, and it was lovely because what was really funny about it, Dan, was the rehearsal studio in Glasgow was the very room that the Almighty used to rehearse in. And the very room that we did our showcase for Polydor Records in way back in 1988. And it's the same room. And I hadn't been in that room for 20 years. So when I walked up to write with Anchor and I walked into that room, you can imagine the memories and the whole thing. But their attitude and their energy, because they were about the same age that we were when we were there, rehearsing that time. So the whole thing was very surreal. But their attitude and their energy and their commitment and the gang mentality reminded me so much of the Almighty when we first started. And it was lovely. You know, it was lovely being in that surrounding and working with those guys. And it's still alive and well. The kids are still out there. They're doing it. And there's some great stuff. There
are some fantastic British bands and European bands coming through. Let's face it, it's tough in the entertainment business anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Putting aside this year, it is tough. But it's encouraging that these young bands are still going, do you know what, I still want to do it. They're producing their own music. And for some of them, at a very high standard, it has to be said, considering what goes into production. Yeah. So it is encouraging for the future, I've got to say.
Well, it is, and it's tough because the internet is obviously made things, the good and the bad of the internet.
Yeah.
Great that you can now record an album, on your laptop and a very great, that kind of thing. But also everything that you do is now scrutinized and is out in the open. So you can't really develop behind closed doors because you have to keep posting. You don't have to, but people want content and they want this and they want that.
Sure.
And it's almost like the mystique's certainly gone out of rock and roll. I think that's the sad thing about it. I think there's no mystique in rock and roll anymore, which is a shame. But, and bands, I think, are forced to develop too quickly sometimes now because of social media, because that pressure's on them. And I think that's a bad thing. But the good thing is, you can make records cheaply and quickly, and you can get your product out there really easily now too.
I think one thing which always comes to mind for me is when you and I first started buying records, if you were lucky, you might have heard a track on, say, The Rock Show with Tommy Vance or equivalent, and you bought a record on a whim and a prayer, really. Unless it was an established artist and, it was AC/DC, you pretty much knew what you were getting. But we knew stuff you didn't know, but you still went out and bought an album. And, okay, you might buy the odd dud, but generally speaking, that was... I don't know how to put it. It's maybe a more innocent way of discovering music rather than having it sort of, rammed.
What goes back to what I was saying, Dan, that there was the mystique, that was the mystery. You take a chance on one track, hoping the rest of the album's going to blow your mind, and that was the excitement of it. What the rest is going to be like. Is it going? Like you said, sometimes you're like, oh God, that's $3.99 down the pan. Back then, but I just think I don't want to know what my rock stars had for breakfast. I want to know. I'm not interested. That ruins it for me. I don't. No, please don't. I want to know about why you wrote that song, what you would think. That kind of stuff to me is what I'm interested in. And there's just too much access to too much stuff that is irrelevant now, I feel, and it's ruined the mystique, the whole thing about it. I'm so glad vinyl is making a comeback. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she handed in her Christmas list last week, and there was 10 LPs on there, vinyl, that she wanted for Christmas. And I was blown away, and I kind of looked at my wife, and I went, because we haven't really forced her. I mean, we listen to vinyl, we have records on, we haven't really, so she just came on her own, and I just went, this is great, because her friends are going, this looks great, the artwork looks great, have you heard how good it sounds? So there's hope, there's definitely hope.
There is. My son, I mean, we didn't force music on him, although obviously travelling in dad taxi, he had no choice but to listen to stuff. But in this last year, if nothing else, he suddenly discovered music properly and playing music. Great. And if we're listening to, say, Planet Rock, and you'll go, oh, that's so-and-so, and they're doing this, that, and the other, and I'll just think, yeah, job done.
No, it's great. It's such a good buzz, So, yeah, I mean, look, it's never going to die. People are always going to want it, but the way we get it and the way we obtain music's always going to change. It's going to be in a flux, and you have to embrace it. You have to go with it. You may not like it, but I think if you don't, you get left behind. But that doesn't mean you should give up on your ideals. And if you still want to put out vinyl, put out vinyl. Why not?
Absolutely, Ricky. Thanks ever so much for taking the time to have a chat today. Good luck with all your future endeavours. Not that you need any luck or me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
I'll always take it down. Thank you.
Looking forward to catching up with you at Call of the Wild next year.
Me too, mate. Be safe.